Welcome to video 2 of chapter 1, section 1, where we're going to go over how to automate a Hello World program in GitHub Actions. Okay, so to start off, I'm currently logged into my GitHub account and I'm going to create a brand new repository. You could do the same, or you can use an existing repository, whichever you prefer is totally fine if you're following along. So to create a new repository, I'm going to come into the repositories and I'm going to say new. I am then going to give my repository a name. I'm going to call it Hello World Exam. And then description will just be Hello World Example. And then let's keep the repo public and click Create Repository. Now that I've created the repository, I need to write a GitHub Actions workflow to run my Hello World program. So you could either clone the repository into your local machine and write your workflow there, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to open the GitHub provided code editor to write the workflow there. To open the GitHub provided code editor, you can simply go to the URL and change the .com to .dev. And that spins up the web editor. Once you're here, I'm going to switch to a brand new branch just so we don't code directly in the main branch. And I'm going to call that branch Hello World Example. I'm going to tell it create new branch. I'm going to tell it to switch to the new branch. And once it finishes loading, we should see the new branch here. Perfect. So to start off, I need to create two directories, the .github directory, and under that one, a workflows directory. And this is because all GitHub Action workflows need to be under these two directories for them to run. So come in here. That's the first directory. Create it. And then I can create one more directory, which is the workflows directory. I created. Now that I have these two directories, I'm going to create my GitHub Actions workflow file where I'm going to write the code for the Hello World program under here. I'm going to call that file Hello World. You can call it whatever you want as long as it's under these two directories, it will run. So I'm going to go to new file, world.yaml, and it's .yaml because that is files that GitHub Actions workflows are written in. So enter, and now I have my new file. Now, I'm going to go over a lot of concepts very quickly here that may not make sense to you. Don't worry, I will cover all these concepts in detail in the next few videos. So this is just to give you a very broad view of a workflow running. So keep that in mind. So if everything doesn't make sense, stay with me. It will in future videos, I promise. Okay, so now that we have the workflow file where we're going to write the Hello World program, we are going to give this workflow a name. So name, and it can be whatever you want. I'm going to call it Hello World. Next, in any GitHub Actions workflow, we need some triggers. Now, to write triggers, we place them under the on keyword. For this example, we're going to create two triggers. We're going to create one trigger so that it triggers anytime we push to the main branch, and another trigger so that it triggers anytime we push or create a pull request off of the main branch. So first, let's create the push one. So anytime we push, we then say branches and we say main. So anytime there's a push to the main branch, this workflow will trigger. And then we're going to create another trigger, which is going to be pull requests. And then anytime we create or push to a pull request off of the main branch, it will trigger this workflow as well. So that's what we've done here. And now we're going to write our steps, which is where the code for running the Hello World program will be. So to do that, we put it under jobs. In our case, we're going to have a single job and a single step. So we say jobs. We call this job. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it Hello World because it's the hello world example. And then under here, I will then tell it what runner to run on. This may not make sense right now. It will in a future video, but essentially all I'm doing here is I'm saying use a GitHub provider runner and run it using Ubuntu latest. So run on Ubuntu latest. So we're telling this to run our workflow in an Ubuntu latest runner provided by GitHub. And now we create our steps, which is the steps that run in this workflow. So we're going to have just a single step, and the step is just going to be the hello world step that's going to run the hello world program. So steps, the step we're going to have is just going to be called hello world. And it's just going to print hello world to the console. And so we're going to just use bash. So in any step, you could either refer to custom actions, which I'll talk more about later, or you can run bash directly on the step. And this is what we're going to do here. So if we say run, we're going to run bash directly because we're on an Ubuntu runner. And then here we can just write our bash code. So we can say echo hello world. Let's count W just to make it nice and put some exclamation marks. And that's it. So we have one step. The step is called hello world, and it's going to be we're just telling it run, and it's echo hello world, and it runs in bash because it's an Ubuntu runner. So it can interpret this and run directly on the Ubuntu runner, echo hello world. Okay. So this workflow is done. Let's just go over it really quickly again to get what we did. We called it hello world, created two triggers. One is a push trigger that runs anytime we push to the main branch. Another one is a pull request trigger that runs anytime we create or push to a pull request off the main branch. And then we have our jobs, which is a single job called hello world that runs on an Ubuntu latest runner provided by GitHub. And all it does is run a single step that's called hello world. And that step is simply echoing hello world. So it should print hello world to the console. So let's commit this to the hello world example branch. We'll say create hello world exam workflow. We'll commit and push. Once we've committed and pushed, we can go back to the regular GitHub GUI. We just go back to .com here. And we can see it's asking us if we want to create a pull request off of this branch that we just created with the code we just wrote. So we will say, yep, let's compare this pull request and see what it's all about. We can preview it. And then down here, we can see the code we wrote. Let's create the pull request. And now let's recall that we did tell this trigger that it should run anytime there's a pull request or a push to a pull request off the main branch. So this pull request is off the main branch. So this should have triggered the workflow. So let's verify that. If we go to the Actions tab here, we can see that it did. So if we open up this, we have our Hello World workflow. And here we can take a look at the workflow and we can see that it did what we said. Echo Hello World, and it printed the console Hello World. So it worked on a push to a pull request created off the main branch. It ran our workflow. The next thing we want to verify is we also created a trigger that said, let's run this workflow anytime we push to the main branch. So when we merge this pull request, it will be a push to the main branch. So it should also run the workflow. So let's verify that. Merge, confirm merge. Let's delete the branch because we don't really need it anymore. And we can go to the Actions tab here and it should have ran again. And you can see it's running. Let's open it up. Just finish. Let's take a look. And yep, it ran and it printed the console Hello World. We come back to the actions and we can see that the triggers, it tells us what the triggers are. So this one was a pull request trigger. ran on the hello world example branch. And this one was a commit trigger, which was a push to the main branch. So the two triggers were created, ran the hello world workflows, and that's it. We have just automated the hello world program in GitHub Actions, and they run anytime we push to the main branch or we create a pull request to the main branch.